Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Today, very grateful, very humble to again this week bring you another solo episode. This is the first time in the podcast history that I've recorded two solo episodes back to back in a row. So let's get into it today. Now, same as last week, I've come prepared with some notes. So if you're watching on YouTube and I'm just turning away, there is a reason for it. I have notes today prepared again for the show today. So today I'm going to talk to you about the real reason why you're stuck and how to finally break through. So if you're feeling stuck, you're feeling numb, you're lacking direction, then today's solo episode will be for you. That's for men, for women, anyone of all ages to start that journey and to start that push for something better, to find that fire in the belly to make it happen, whatever that is. It could be physical with the gym, mental, emotional, spiritual. Doesn't matter what it is. So today, we're going to unpack why you feel stuck and the hidden patterns behind it, and how to actually take actionable steps to move forward. So, yeah, this isn't mindset bullshit. This is the truth most people avoid. So, let's get stuck into it. So, most people, they think they're lazy, they're unmotivated, they're in survival mode. We get the fight, the flight, and the freeze. Most people are in freeze and they don't realize it. This is all happening in an unconscious way. Someone could be in the supermarket, you could be in a setting where there's confrontation. Someone's coming to approach you, they're looking angry, they're frustrated, all these things. You instantly freeze. Now that's all unconscious. That is the central nervous system jumping into survival mode. And the way the programming works behind it on the TV and the music and the radio and all the media, the people orchestrating all of this, well, we can say they're people, but they may not be people. We'll have to just let that one just simmer. But the main objective for you to be ruled, controlled, lied to, manipulated, stolen from is to keep you in that flight or freeze state. Because if they get you in fight, then that's the humanity rising. That's us remembering, that's us. They don't want us in fight because they know that if we're in fight, they're in trouble. But if they can keep you in flight or freeze, then you'll be easily controlled, easily lied to, easily manipulated, easily stolen from. Now, that is all unconscious. That is done to you. Now, so what you're doing here essentially is you're protecting yourself from the failure, the judgment, the rejection, the truth. All these things keep you stuck. And that is where the system wants you. They want you fearing all this stuff. They want you failing. They want you all this. So then you're easily lied to, ruled, governed, manipulated. Go to the job, go to school, do these things. It's where they want you to be. So they want you to numb out with the porn, with the naughty content, with the overthinking, the overworking, the alcohol, the weed, the junk food, These are all symptoms of disconnected. The more disconnected you are, again, the easier you are to live this life that's not necessarily your own. It's a story that you've told yourself that's not even your story. It's someone else's story of who and what you should be. So the key points here is the more you're in flight or freeze, the easier you are to just go about everything like a robot and move through. But I'll just circle back to that example I did give where you're met with that confrontation. That's a freeze response. That's your body going into survival mode. The more you're in survival mode, the more nothing's happening, nothing's growing, and it's exactly where the system wants you to be. This isn't your fault, but it's your responsibility to change it. It's as simple as that. They put all the fear, all the programming, all this stuff into you But it's your responsibility to turn your back on it and change it because we have the power to do that. We have the power to rewire our own subconscious to live the life that we want to live. It's our responsibility. And like I said in the last podcast, we just project our blame onto all of these things. Need to look in that mirror and go internal and understand that it's us v us. Well, so this is how I numbed out. So for me, from 16 to 26, it's very evident what I did to numb out. But if you're new to this, new listener, new viewer, you'll get a bit of a picture here. I numbed out with distractions. You know, I fell into that trap of being on social media, being on Instagram, looking at the beautiful women shaking it all. I fell into that trap because once I got hooked, I then thought, oh, it's that dopamine. You know, for men, you get a little bit hard. You know, get the hard on, and then bang, it'd be like, I need something else for that hit. That hit's not hitting me anymore. I need something else. So then it was the porn, and it became this never ending cycle. And I spoke about it in one of my episodes with Maddie Dens. I'll put a link to that in the bottom, where I said that became my routine. Then, you know, my explore page on Instagram was filled with all these models and beautiful women, and then it would just lead straight to porn. And that was me chasing something and wanting more. And it was a routine. You know, I would wake up in the morning, release my load, and then before I go to sleep for night time, it was the exact same thing. And that became my normal, that became my familiar, and that became my safe. And I've spoken about it before that whenever something serious was going on in my life, something that was affecting me, it was very easy to just shut my door and turn the lights off and just focus on the screen, on whatever was happening on that screen. I'm sure you can use imagination watching the porn and stuff, you know. But I was never lazy. I was always motivated to do things. I just didn't do them. For me, getting back in the gym was something that has completely transformed my life on a physical level. But the reason I was so hooked on everything else was because I didn't know how to feel my emotions. I didn't know how to process them. I didn't know how to deal with them, feel them, and process them. So it was just an easy thing for me to avoid ever going to the pain, ever going to the numb. But I would often hear a song sometimes, and I would cry. There are a few songs that I used to listen to that would make me cry. Fix You by Coldplay is one of them. I might start naming a couple. Fix You by Coldplay used to get me a lot back when I was younger. And yeah, that song's a ripper. The the inner war for me was not really overthinking. It was just the self-sabotage and sometimes starting things and not finishing them. You know, I'd say something, but then I wouldn't follow through with the action. So my words weren't meeting the actions. Well, the actions weren't meeting the words. And it was just this big ball of confusion, big ball of stuff until I fell through that table talking to those three young girls. And that set me off on the path to learn about myself, to learn how to deal with and process my emotions, how to actually understand why I'm feeling this way, where it's come from, and how I can still move forward. You know, you just get better at it over time. You know, I used to sit in things for a long time. Once that Pandora's box opened up, I would just sit in things for such a long time. And it got to a point where I couldn't keep sitting in those things anymore. Something had to give. And that was the realization. I started learning the tools, Reiki, meditation, breath work, journaling. Once those tools came in, it helped me understand myself on a much deeper level, just letting that pen write. So the turning point was I realized that there was no external thing that was going to fix me. You know, there was no healer, there was no doctor, there was no I did have a coach that helped me understand and process, but it was still me. And that's the thing I'm trying to say here is you can have awesome coaches and mentors and and people to help you go a bit deeper into your stuff. But at the end of the day, you're the one going there. It's you versus you. And if you can feel those things and be honest and open with yourself, that was the breakthrough moment, was being emotionally honest with myself. Right. I'm feeling XYZ today, and I'm just going to allow myself to feel XYZ today. I'm not going to numb out. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to do my breath work, my meditation, my journaling, or I'm just going to sit and feel angry. But the best way to move through that anger, to move through those feelings, is to actually feel them. You have to feel. And as men, we've been taught to not feel, to not ask for help, to not cry, all these generational programs that aren't ours. We are feelers. We need to feel. And that was the biggest thing for me, was actually sitting with myself and feeling what it was that I was feeling, acknowledging the feeling, accepting it, and then actually feeling it. Anyway, let's move on. Part three. There's like a silent cost to staying stuck. You know, avoiding this work isn't neutral. It just costs you your peace, your power, and your potential. So this inner work, if you're not doing this inner work, then you're just living life, coasting through, cruising through. You know there's something there, something better there. You don't know what it is. You got feelings that you don't know what they are. They're just wasted years. You're just wasting your years away. You're just rotting away. You'll have burnt out relationships. You may have chronic anxiety and just frustration, always feeling like you're meant for more but not moving. All these things, you might be just happy, not happy, but you might be saying that you're happy in the comfort zone, but they're just slow prisons, and we become so stuck in all these things that we don't necessarily have a way out. We tell ourselves that there's no way out. Again, these are all stories that we tell ourselves. They're actually lies to ourselves. They're just bullshit stories that we say to ourselves to keep us, I guess, moving, coasting, to keep us going. When in actual fact, if we actually sat with ourselves and had, a moment, we'd be pondering and reflecting and going, well, opposite ends of the spectrum, you go, well, I've just wasted X amount of time, X amount of years. I've gone through all these relationships, all these people in my life have come and gone. Like, where am I at? And that's what the system wants too. The system wants to keep you busy, keep you numb, keep you distracted, because once you face all of this, you're facing the truth within. And then once you face that truth within, you become unstoppable, you become unfuckwithable, and that's not what the system wants. But if we just take our time and process all these things and understand that we're just in a comfort zone, and it's a slow prison, that we can break free and we can do more, we can be more, we can say more, that's only going to help not only us but those around us to all move forward and get that push and start reclaiming our power and reclaiming our purpose. I often say it all the time. We all came here with a mission. We came here for a reason. We came here with a purpose. It's our responsibility to do the inner work, to remember who the fuck we are and to remember why the fuck we're here. It's as simple as that. The four pillars of strength: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. If we can get those four pillars all working in unison together as a machine, as a wheel, then you have the single best chance to achieve what it is that you want to achieve in each of those four areas. So the physical pillar of strength is health, it's strength, and it's routine. You know, for me, my morning routine is get up, well, not get up, lay in bed for a bit, meditate or breath work for 10, 15 minutes, get up, swish some coconut oil in my mouth. I do oil pulling. Look up Dr. Barbara O'Neill and she'll tell you about oil pulling. Very, very good for you. I'll swish some oil in my mouth for 10 or 15 minutes in the morning and unpack the dishwasher and do some homely adulting jobs as I like to do in the morning while I swish my oil. Then I'll have some salt. I'll suck on some Celtic sea salt and I'll drink 500 mils of water. So I'll suck on some salt, have a few sips, suck on some more salt, a few sips, and then I'll have my Bassica, which is a magnesium, which is actually a magnesium morning drink. It's not just magnesium; it's full of. Well, I should go and get it, but it's in the next room. Full of all this awesome stuff. It's full of, just off the top of my head, it's full of. I think it's got what's that mineral called? There's vitamin C in it. A little bit of vitamin C. There's how can I not remember what's in this bloody thing? I might have to pause the recording and I'll go and get it. We're back. If you're watching on YouTube, I have found my Bassica. It is on the screen now. This is, you can get it at health food stores. You just need a naturopath certification or like a, not a script, but like a naturopath can prescribe these for you. Now, looking at the ingredients of the Bassica, it is an alkalizing and multi-mineral formula. I'm just reading the packet here. Sweetened with stevia, gluten and dairy free. What's in it? We have protein, we have carbohydrates, we have potassium, calcium, magnesium, zinc, vitamin B2, vitamin C, and some other salts that are very, very good for you. So that's what's in this basket, and I have that of a morning. I think it's one scoop. What does it say on here? Yeah, 1 tablespoon in 250 mils of water. So that is like a healthy pre-workout that's not full of caffeine and toxic crap that's going to fuck around with your gut. So jump on the Bassica train. I don't get any kickbacks or anything from Bassica. This is what I take in the morning. So I take that, then I go to gym and do my workout. Usually it's either a chest day, it's either an arm day, a back day, or a leg day. If you would like my gym routine, my gym program, feel free to reach out and I'll send through my gym program. Also do functional movements and core stuff on a Wednesday as well. So if you like what I do in the gym to get you started, reach out and I'll send you through via email or DM my program. So that's the physical, mental, thought patterns, focus, clarity. Now, I often talk about the mental pillar of strength. Now, with the mental pillar of strength, you need to go to the mental gym. And by that, I mean when we go to the real gym in the physical and we do our bicep curls or we do our squats or we do our lunges or we do our whatever, the more reps we do, the stronger we get. Excuse me. It's the same with your mind. The more reps you do for positive content, for abundance, for wealth, for love, for anything, the stronger you'll get. Excuse me. And you'll out rep the negative. So if you've had all these negative influences in your life, such as TV shows like Friends, murder, stabbing, killing, soap operas, cartoons where there's like Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin, Bender, like those fat, overweight, lazy, childlike fathers, all that negative programming over time you'll end up acting some of this stuff out, and it's the reason why you are where you are. So you've got the music where you've got the rap music, very sexual, bending girls over, partying, drinking, talking about doing shots, singing all those things. Yeah, and just be careful. Words on a spiritual level are spells, and if you're singing a song like what's a song off the top of my head right now that is just like super? Like if you go through the songs of today, a lot of them are about drinking alcohol, being less than, not being worthy. It's someone else's fault, not my own fault. If you're singing those spells out, you're bringing that into your life. So your words are spells. If you say something and you're saying I am whatever, then you're casting that spell and it's coming out into the field, into the universe, and back into your life. So you need to be very careful what you're singing out there in today, especially with today's music. You got Sabrina Carpenter and Taylor Swift to name a few. That is all about the projection of someone else's fault and not their own. The song reviews are coming back Stay tuned for my Substack. There'll be a link to that in the bottom to follow me on Substack. The song reviews are coming back because there are so many out there that are just unbelievable these days. So get in the mental gym. You gotta turn your back on the mainstream music, the mainstream TV, the media, the news, all these things, and reprogram that subconscious and put in that mental gym, whatever it is you want to reprogram in. So if you want love, or you want abundance, or you want strong health, or you want to look a certain way and feel a certain way, then I can give you a set of hypnosis recordings that you can listen to before you go to sleep and start the reps and surround yourself with content and people that are going to uplift you and inspire you rather than try and drag you down. So you got to be honest with yourself with the mental gym, and that takes time. So for me, I needed reprogramming around love, safety, porn, all these things, and abundance. So I listened to hypnosis recordings morning and night for the last 3 years, and I still do it now to out rep those negative influences. Our subconscious mind is a supercomputer. It remembers everything, and it's always scanning for safety, familiarity, and comfort. And if safety, familiarity, and comfort was with porn, was with alcohol, was with all these things you saw your parents do, your friends to friends, TV do as a child, then you just act those things out. You then lift and you do those things, and that's just how this works. To reprogram, it takes patience, resilience, and discipline, and progression, not perfection, and you will get there. So then we get the emotional pillar, as I just put my laptop charger in here. We have the emotional pillar of strength, right? The emotional pillar is feeling our emotions, processing our emotions, and then allowing ourselves to let them go and to release. It might be a cry, it might be a bit of a boxing for some anger, something like that, to get our emotional pillar of strength working in unison. When you're emotionally strong, you're emotionally intelligent. Now, the way emotional intelligence works is you're feeling a certain way, you know how you're feeling, and you're able to communicate with your partner or with people or with yourself to be like, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling angry today. I'm feeling sad today. But you're able to express that in a way and not take that out on someone else or take that out on yourself or whatever. So it's having that emotional awareness of how you're feeling, and then having the emotional awareness and maturity to work through that emotion, to feel that emotion, and then move forward. So true change happens when all four of these things are aligning and working in unison. You ignore one, the system just is a little bit out of balance. So the way I approach this with clients is we focus on the physical. It's health, it's diet, it's exercise, it's routine, morning and night routine. I spoke to you about my morning routine. My nighttime routine is stretching, reading a book, meditation, hypnosis, fall asleep, and it's lights out. I've got my blue light glasses on and the lights aren't on in my room. It's just darkness. It's deep breathing. It's relaxing. It's putting myself in that space to be able to go to sleep. So we fix those things up. We get those things working when you come work with me. It's the physical first, then it's the mental. It's the thought patterns. It's the focus, and it's the clarity. So in the questionnaire you send out, I know what you're listening to. I know what you're watching. I know what you're consuming. So then, I'm then able to get you in that mental gym, get you to reprogram, and get that those positive reps sinking into that subconscious, and then spiritual. So it's the values. What do you value? What do you want? What do you value? What's your purpose? Connection to self. So spiritual is a lot of things, but it's the values. It's like, what do you value? What do you like? Do you value trust, honesty, communication? Do you value love? Do you value family? Like, what are your values? And then for the things that you want, you know, what are you going to do to get those things? Because it's going to test your values. It's going to test your purpose and connection to self. So how do you connect to yourself? What is your purpose? How can we uncover that purpose? And with clients, it is it is in the questionnaire. they'll a question is where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years? What do you want? Or if you had, $10 million, what would you do with it? It's the dream is in those questions each time. I read that response, there's the dream. And it's like, well, how can we get the physical, the mental, the emotional, and spiritual all working together to get you to that dream, to that person that you see yourself being in 10 years? Another spiritual tool I use is I sit down on Zoom. I'll say close your eyes and envision that person in 10 years' time that has the family, that has good health, that is stronger, that speaks clearly, that is all these things. You're envisioning that person. So you're setting out a manifestation blueprint to become that person. You're going to let a lot of things go after that. You're setting out a very strong intention to be that person, and it puts you back on that path. So that's a very good spiritual tool there that I use. It's a lot deeper than that, but that's sort of what it's that visualization. So you're getting that energy moving. You understand your body's like, what does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? So that's how I approach the mental, the emotional, the physical, and spiritual. Get them working and look out. You're a powerhouse, brother or sister. Yes. Now we get to the excuses part of the podcast. This is the most common excuses we hear out there in society. Now, we all know what they are. I'll start when XYZ calms down, or I need to figure XYZ out on my own before I start the next XYZ. There will never be a perfect time. If you're sitting on your hands, waiting for the universe, waiting for divine timing, waiting for something, then it's not going to happen. Growth happens when you do that thing anyway. You launch that business, you launch that podcast, you launch that article, you launch that painting, or you do that thing you've always wanted to do, but you just throw everything out and you go, right, fuck it, I'm doing it. And then you do it. Growth happens when you're in chaos, when you're stressed, when you're angry, when you're all these things. That's when growth happens. So for me, during a tough time was some of my biggest shifts. Now, I had a rough day yesterday. This is recorded on the 15th of May. So 13th, 14th, I've had some rough days in the last couple of days. Some feelings of mine have come up. I did some self Reiki yesterday, so that really got some energy moving around. And I was a bit funky. I was processing a lot of stuff that came up in that Reiki session I did on myself. And I've been a bit funky. I've been a bit whatever, how I wasn't very active on social media on Wednesday, the 14th, because I was processing a lot of stuff. But I woke up this morning, went to gym, and I'm like, I need to do a solo podcast today. I need to do some videos. And I had this light bulb of just bang, it's back to action. It's being that aware and being that when there's something going on, you can still move, shape, and grow. I know for me, my biggest shift was 3 years ago when my brother and I went on our trip up here. I've spoken about it before, where I was on a table with a beautiful kinesiologist that said something happened to me when I was younger, and I was able to go back to that child. And a teacher said I should be writing about being a hero, being a you know I used to write a lot of stories about being a hero and comic books and different imaginary, not imaginary, it's all real stuff. And it was that time of the teacher be like, well, Nathan needs to conform, he needs to write what we're all writing about and not do his thing. And I took that story on, as you all know, and that was my biggest shifts, because I took that teacher's story on as my own. It wasn't actually my story. It was her story she projected onto me, and I made myself not worthy. I took that power back, and I ended up writing my book, which will be out soon. And that's the thing. I wrote that book in a time of I didn't really still feel overly worthy of having a book out there, but I knew deep within that I was supposed to write a book, and I had it all come to me about what to write about. I didn't just Google things or whatever. I just sat with myself and said, okay, what is it that I'm going to write about today? And yeah, it's like my soul, my higher self, what you want to call it, just came through me, and found myself writing this book. And it took only 6 weeks to write. And you know, if I had waited for the perfect time, I'd still be sitting on my hands now waiting. It's like, you know, why wait for something? Let's go make it happen. Whatever it is. So I'm saying that to be like, well, go and do that thing. Don't wait for the perfect time. Every month you wait is another month you're disconnected from the man or woman that you want to be. So ponder that. Yeah. So key messages from today. You're not broken. You're just stuck in old patterns. But just remember, you have the power and the ability to change them at any time. And that's the most beautiful thing. If any of this hit home today and you're done being stuck, you're stuck living rent free in your head, then reach out to me, DM me, and email me, and get in touch with me. And you can book your free call, and we can jump on a one-on-one call, and we can have a chat about what's going on, and I can run you through my coaching process and see if we're the perfect fit. But just remember, if you want to take one thing away from today, it's this. You get one shot at life, one shot. Actually, if you think about it spiritually, you get multiple shots. But in this current physical right now, you get one shot. Why not make it count? Why not start living fully and start sifting through the onion layers and start peeling them back and start becoming that person that you're destined to become? Why wait? Why not start now? And ponder this. If you're at the end and you're looking your family members in the eye, grandkids, great grandkids, whatever, and you're saying, yeah, I had the chance to do that, had the chance to do that, didn't take it, didn't take that one, missed that one, and you're full of regret. Think about it. Do you really want to be in that moment full of regret for the chances, choices, opportunities that you didn't take because you were waiting for the right time? You didn't take them because you were fearing failure, you're fearing rejection, or you're fearing something and you didn't do it. You sat in your hands. Then you're in that moment, you're having that ponder, you're about to lights out, and you're like, fuck, I didn't do it. How about we flip that script? We flip that story and imagine being in that moment right now. Close your eyes. Imagine being in that moment right now. However old you are, doesn't freaking matter. And you're looking your family members in the eye. And you're full of love, full of appreciation for the life that you lived, the lives you impacted, the people you touched, the lives you changed, the impact that you had, the things that you did, the chances that you took, the lessons you learned, the mistakes you made, but the success and everything else was there. And you're full of passion. You're full of joy, and you're full of all these things. The lights are about to go out, and you're saying to your kids, your grandkids, whatever, whoever's in the room, you're like, I'm going to guide you into the next phase of your lives now and help give you that nudge and that push to be better. So I'm going to jump out of this meat suit. I'm going to cross over to the other side. I'm going to guide you through on a beautiful journey. Now, wouldn't you rather that moment than being like full of regret and all these things? Pick which one you want. I know which one I want, and I think you do too. This has been another solo episode of the Breaking Free podcast. I have some awesome guests coming up over the next month, so stay tuned for that. I'll talk to you all again soon. Just remember to DM me, email me, reach out to me, book your call in, and let's get you going. Let's get your mental, your emotional, your physical, and spiritual health all aligned, all working in unison to become the man or the woman that you were born to be. Thank you for listening and watching wherever in the world you are, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Cheers.